European Language Equality Network has as its goal the substantive promotion and protection of minoritized languages, to work towards language equality for the speakers of these languages under the broader framework of human rights, and to be the voice of speakers of these languages at the local, regional, national, European and international level. Today, ELN represents 44 languages with 150 member organizations in 24 states. ELN was founded after the closure of EBLO in 2011 and has grown to become the only Europe-wide civil society organization to represent lesser used languages. For us, it is vital that language civil society organizations work together across Europe. Unity is our strength. There are 55 million speakers of less used languages in the EU, 10% of the population. ELN's task is to both protect and promote these languages and ensure that the voices of those 55 million are heard, and to encourage our member organizations to work together towards shared goals. Our work focuses on two pillars. Firstly, advocacy work at the EU, Council of Europe and United Nations, and at the state and local level. And secondly, EU-funded language project work, which is something the new Colloque would be interested in. By working together, we act to strengthen our influence with all the international institutions, as well as with state and sub-state governments, and to ensure that civil society organizations that work with our language communities are driving the language protection and promotion process. Our advocacy work is varied. Currently, we are working with Jill Evans, MEP, the MEP for Plaid Cymru, on her report, Language Equality in the Digital Age, which aims to increase the digital provision for less used languages. We're campaigning for a European Language Ombudsman or Commissioner and Endangered Languages Directive that will both fund lesser used language projects and ensure language rights. After all, if the EU can protect endangered trees and fish, why can't it act to protect our endangered languages? We work very closely with the Council of Europe, the Charter, and the Framework Convention Secretariats. We notify them of contraventions of the two treaties and work with our members to produce shadow reports which have a very positive impact on treaty implementation. The Charter Secretariat participates at most ELN meetings and interacts directly with our members. With the UN, we work closely with the Human Rights Committee, the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and the Universal Periodic Review, and use the various treaties to help ensure language rights and protection for our languages. We've had considerable success with these treaty bodies, and they've supported our languages with numerous statements to member states. ELN, by bringing all the language NGOs together, ensures that the civil society voice is fully represented. One example of our work and of different language communities working together was the Donostia Protocol to ensure language rights, which has become the new standard-setting tool. When we don't have state support or language legislation, as here in Brittany, ELN works to create facts on the ground, where we help to enable the process of language recovery and help to empower the community. Perhaps the best example of success is the recovery of Irish in Belfast, where huge advances were made in the recovery process with little state support. And here in Brittany, where well-organised civil society is driving the recovery process despite the lack of support from the French state. The other pillar of our work is EU-funded language projects, and I mentioned before the Digital Language Diversity Project, which is making lesser used languages, or aiming to make lesser used languages digitally ready, and to empower lesser used language speakers with the knowledge and abilities to create and share content on their digital devices, and so as to increase the use of lesser used languages online. For the DLDP project, ELN works in partnership with the University of Mainz, the Consiglio Nazionale della Ricerca in Italy, which is the big national research institution, and the Basque organisation Elzas. The project will be issuing its final report in July and will make several recommendations for Breton, Sardinian, Karelian and Basque. And furthermore, Ellen is working to have the project extended by the EU to look at digital provision for all lesser used languages, and this is included in Jill Evans' report. Ellen also works with the University of Valencia and the Valencian government on several other projects, and we welcome project proposals from our members as we are able to help provide partners that will suit certain projects and help with applications. Again, something you may be interested in with the Euro Carica. Ellen also works to create links and bridges between like-minded organisations working at the grassroots level in support of language and cultural diversity and a society open to pluralism. And this is reflected in the activities of our members. For example, Ellen members frequently work together with organisations promoting women's rights and indigenous rights. And I take Sean's comment before about working with indigenous languages is something that we would like to extend globally, working with indigenous languages. And one of Ellen's roles also is to create shared events for regional language speakers. I put regional in inverted commas. For example, demonstrations on language issues, the language hearing that we held in the Parliament in 2016, the Higa Summer School in the Basque Country for language activists, and the Babel Film Festival in Sardinia. We work to develop events that act to celebrate and support our languages in practical terms. And we are currently working on creating a week-long music and film festival that celebrates all of our languages and cultures. So ladies and gentlemen and honoured guests, it is a pleasure to meet the various different organisations coming to Brittany for the launch of our Redadeg and the new European Network for Language Races, Euro Carica. We are very much look forward to working with you and actively supporting these excellent projects. And we will help to ensure that these important projects are funded and fully developed. We also welcome every organisation that's working for European lesser used languages to work with us in Ellen if you're not already doing so. So some conclusions. However, let us remind ourselves of some of the key problems facing our languages today. Despite respect for linguistic diversity being a core EU policy, there are still huge problems for all of our languages, especially endangered languages. There is still an overarching need for a legal base for language rights and for funding for education and development across Europe. Language discrimination is a form of direct and indirect racism, according to the Council of Europe. It means that cases of anti-regional language discrimination, much of which is systemic in several EU member states, should be dealt with under existing race equality laws. It is vital that we work to normalise our languages and challenge every threat. It is vital to increase usage, to attract the young, so that they can live their lives in their language. And since the 1990s, we have more knowledge on the process of successful revitalisation. For us, statements of goodwill or respect are no longer enough. So some Ellen objectives. We need to see substantive domestic and EU-level legislation that acts against language discrimination and that ensures language rights for lesser used and endangered language speakers. As a minimum, we expect to see co-official status for all the so-called regional languages in the French state, along with binding support for immersion education. The language protocol, the Donostia protocol, is the new standard-setting tool and will help us in our work to establish Europe-wide linguistic rights. There is a clear need for a EU language directive and a European language ombudsman to protect against discrimination and endangerment. And we in Ellen very much look forward to working together with you and our partners to achieve these goals. And if you want to follow our community of activists, you can follow us on Eurolang on Twitter and on Facebook. Meraz Braz, Trigres Vat, Chons Vat, and Chonsa they all and rag our Redadeg. Meraz.